Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back. We are back into Married at First Sight Australia series 11 and we are now on episode 22 and it is couples retreat time. And as we know, we've always the couples retreat secrets and all that is drama filled bombasticness gets aired. But before we get into this episode, as I always say, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so you know I'm on and doing videos. And let's talk about this episode. So, it starts off with us seeing Jack and Tori. And it's like Jack Frost had done his deal within that place because it was frosty as hell. I just keep knowing Jack keeps playing these games with this girl. But you know what? She's going to keep putting in and putting in and putting in. And this is why I'm saying when people see Jack and Tori, if they have an issue with Jack or they want to bring up an issue with Jack or it's something that's going to impact or affect Tori, don't fucking tell her. Don't be one of those friends and tell her, because people have told her so many times the pattern of behavior with this man. She refuses to see it. She always takes Jack at face value. What is the use in telling someone things when you know full well that they ain't gonna heed your word? They're literally gonna put you on the motherfucking back burner as their friend, yeah? And believe the word of the man that they're with. Once you have a friend like that, you leave them to it. So if anything comes up, make them find it out by them rotted self. Yeah. And when they come to you and say, oh, well, you knew, but why didn't you tell me? Because I've told you so many times freaking before and you always chose this man over my word. So you know what? I was not going to say anything more. All I could do is let you learn your lessons and deal with it how you deal with it once you find out about it. Like, if it was anything like full on egregious, then yes, I would say something as a friend. Like full on, if it was totally gonna rip my friend to shreds, then yes, I would say something. But if it's anything just kind of low level, whatever, I ain't saying shit. Make her find out herself at the end of the day, because this girl is literally gonna keep taking Jack at face motherfucking value, because he knows how to talk her around 24/7. He knows how to talk her around because she's completely convinced that these two, they're meant to be together. So, you know, just leave her to it. So you go to Michael and Stephen. And Stephen did a little bit of a bubble. A little bit of a bubble did Stephen do. So Stephen and Michael were getting ready for like a photo shoot for the experiment. So they've gone to this place to get ready. They're with the hairdresser getting their stuff done. And Michael's literally sat back and watched his husband literally flirt the fuck around the man that was doing his hair. Like, and Stephen is now questioning his connection to Michael and believing that this is what's missing from their relationship, because he had a straight physical, what would you say, connection, chemistry, lust, all that with this hairdresser. And I'm kind of like, yeah, you could have that then, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can have something else after that. You can have that physical, that makes you want to, like, you know, I want to rip your clothes off sort of thing. But that doesn't always last, because that's lust. So Stephen, in my estimations, didn't give Michael the respect and the chance that he deserved. So when they were coming back to the flats, I believe, back to the whatever heights they're in, Michael realised that, you know, there was this full-on smile, smirk, whatever you want to call it, on Stephen's face, and he was texting back and forth. So Michael said, oh, you're quite happy. Who are you texting? My man was texting the hairdresser. How in the fuck did you give that man and you two exchange numbers so quickly? And then he expected Michael not to be freaking angry about it. That Stephen actually called Michael a drama queen. In a sense, trying to say that he's embellishing and he's being dramatical. My guy, you just emotionally cheated on your man. You just emotionally cheated on your husband. And then you want to sit there and make believe that Michael's reaction is the wrong reaction. And Stephen wants to sit there and basically say that he doesn't know if he should stay in this experiment because now he's had this feeling with this person. He does not believe that this feeling will go anywhere with this person, or he's not going to be getting in touch with or going out with this person outside of this experiment. But he just knows what's missing between him and Michael. But you didn't lay the land to try and cultivate anything between you and Michael. He didn't at all. Stephen didn't at all. He had his barriers up from the time that Michael told him at the wedding that he was matched to someone else. I don't think it's got anything to do with how feminine Michael is at the end of the day. I really don't think it is. I really don't. I think it's definitely to do with the outcome that Michael told him at the end of the wedding, in terms of the fact that he was matched to someone else, but that match didn't work out. They actually walked from the experiment before they even met him. But it's the fact that Stephen's sitting there trying to justify his actions with this dude, and I'm like, no, you can't justify. Michael is well within his rights to be angry about the actions that you just took, my friend. So Michael just wanted some space, so did go down and speak to Stephen, and I'm like, all right, Stephen, come on, say what you got to say, because Stephen weren't saying anything at that point. So Stephen starts off with that he had opened up to Michael and that he viewed Michael so highly, and I'm like, well, you didn't view him that highly if you're willing to skip off and flirt with someone else in front of your husband. You did not view Michael highly in that regard. It was full on disrespect at the end of the day, full on disrespect. So basically Michael turned around and said he don't want to hear it. So basically he didn't want to hear anything Stephen had to say because he was pissed. He was confused that a 30-second conversation with a hairdresser netted his husband to be full on flirting with this person. So with that, Stephen turned around and said that him and Michael are fighting a losing battle. You didn't even start the battle, Stephen. You didn't start the battle, so how are you fighting a losing battle? You were looking for any excuse to literally move away from Michael because you were not trying with him. You wasn't trying at all. So he basically said Michael was done at that point. At that point, he said he was done because he'd been rejected twice throughout this process and he don't think he could go through any more rejection. As I said, I don't think it's at all about Stephen's attraction to Michael. I think the attraction was there when, especially at the wedding, you could see that the attraction was there. I do honestly believe it was when Michael told Stephen that, you know, this isn't the first time he'd been picked for someone. That's when that insecure ball started to roll for Stephen. Stephen didn't once apologise. Didn't once apologise at this point, you know, for doing wrong. He was still trying to convince Michael as to why this situation happened. So Michael's there basically saying that he still wants to try with this man, and all I kept on thinking was, Michael, don't beg him, please. Like, please don't beg him, because at the end of the day, it's Stephen who needs to right the wrong that he's done. So Stephen said that he would be lying if he could go forward and then build a sexual relationship. He was saying a spark is a spark. So he's thinking that he only wants to be friends with Michael. So Michael leaves the ring on the table and wants to leave the room. And this is the point where Stephen starts telling him about how dramatical he's been and he doesn't have to be this way. Then in the next breath, Stephen's then saying how he literally wants to work on this with Michael. He doesn't want him to walk off. He doesn't want him to leave his ring. What was that all about? Da 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 da. And I'm just like, are they not really listening to each other? Like, Stephen, are you not listening to yourself right now? You're basically trying to say Michael doesn't have a right to be angry. So then we go to the couples retreat, and we do see Michael and Stephen is at the couples retreat because Stephen literally wants to try and work on the relationship and the connection with Michael. So he convinced Michael to literally go to the retreat. So Michael said, okay. I mean, it was a nice place. It was a nice place. I would have fucking went to. No matter if I was on the outs with that person, it was a big enough space to literally not have to be in each other's pockets if you really didn't want to. But it was a nice space and a way to get out of the apartments that you were in. I'd have been gone. I would have been gone. So we get to, it's going to be a group setting on the first night, and Tim chats to Sarah, and at first says that he smells a rat. So Tim basically says that he does like Tori and he does respect her. Even though Tim and Tori do come to blows within these episodes, that I do think that Tim has that kind of, like, you know, he has that kind of steely respect for Tori, even if they do come to blows. Tim is basically saying that Jack showed Tim pics of his ex and how hot she was. And I'm like, this is what I mean. Jack is playing. Jack plays these games, and this is what I mean when I keep saying this man talks differently outside of his marriage to when he then starts talking in front of Tori's face, because he knows Tori's watching him like with a fine tooth comb and listening to everything that he says and picking it apart at the same time. Yeah, so he is completely different when he's outside of his marriage and he ain't got Tori on his shoulder, to when he's then inside of his marriage and he's got Tori on his shoulder. So Sarah then says that she has information too, and she says Tim and her were going to the spa. And she said when they were leaving on the way to the spa, they'd met Jack in the corridor. Basically, Jack had said hello to Tim, and then Tim moved in front of her, and as Jack walked past Sarah, he literally tapped her on the butt. So she kept on questioning, am I thinking things here? Was it just a joke? Was it just a slip of a hand? She don't know. When it came to, I think it was the last dinner party, Jack greeted her, kissed her on the neck. She's starting to feel uncomfortable in Jack's presence. And when they were apparently at the gym, Jack had basically said that he believed that Sarah, I keep saying Sarah because it's spelled Sara, but she calls herself Sarah, that Sarah was one of the hottest wives within the experiment. Lauren and Sarah have come to the conclusion that they need to have the discussion with Tori. And I'm like, yous know, even though you're both frightened on how you're going to raise this with this girl, you know that this girl is continually going to shut your shit down. She won't do it in front of you, but once she has the chat with Jack, Jack is able to do some fine finagling with his words in order to shut your shit down and follow exactly what Jack is saying. So I don't understand why they're bothering, why they're begging and borrowing trouble where they don't need to. But hey ho, this is the experiment. This is how these people continue and carry on with each other. Let's see where it goes to. They're all sat around this fire pit at this point. So Michael leads in to the fact as what happened between him and Stephen and the hairdresser. And for Michael, it was an emotional cheat, and it was, to be fair. Cassandra turned around and she said, like, even if they went off a spark, like, majority of them sitting there wouldn't be in relationships that they're in at the end of the day if they just went off a spark, because at the end of the day, lust is different to actually trying to build something with someone, because that can just literally boom boom and burn out quite quickly. So Sarah then kind of jumps to the defense of Stephen and says that he has been trying. And I'm like, well, from which part do you see that Stephen has been trying with Michael? Because he actually hasn't been trying with Michael at the end of the day from what we've been seeing. I don't know what happens behind closed doors. I ain't going to try and preempt what happens behind their closed doors. But from what they've been showing us, Stephen has not been trying with Michael in one iota at the end of the day. So Michael then goes off, like fully goes off on Sarah. Like, he is pissed. And I'm just like, my guy, when you open your business to the melee of these people, yeah, don't expect everybody is going to be on your side at that point unless you've done something absolutely freaking heinous. At the end of the day, they're always going to try and throw in the proverbial devil's advocate type of scenario, and that's where I think Sarah was going with her comment. So when Michael is digging her down with his words, Tim is just sitting there like, Like, he don't hear or see nothing. It's all Scotch mist to Tim. And I'm like, my guy, when is the point gonna be that you're gonna jump in and say, look, I know you're upset, I know you're feeling a certain kind of way in regards to what Stephen's done, but then that's no way for you to go on and dig out my wife in the way that you're digging out my wife. Tim didn't say not a rotted bean. You know Sarah was pissed at that. You know Sarah was pissed at that, because that's all she wants from Tim, to literally show that, you know, that don't make people draw me out in conversations the way they're drawing me out in conversations. I need you to be a buffer for me as well. I need you to have my back. That's what Sarah was looking for, and Tim was very much lacking in that. Tim talks to Tristan and Stephen and where him and Sarah are at this point in time, and Tim believing that they're now back in Schitt's Creek. And I'm like, well, them two are going to have a chat with each other in regards to what it is that Sarah's looking for and what it is that Sarah wants, and how he can fulfill that need for her. Because I think sometimes with Sarah, she's judging Tim's reactions or non-reactions on what she's used to, and she can't continue to do that because each and every person is different. Tim does not like confrontation. I mean, calling someone out in terms of how they're speaking to your wife is not necessarily confrontation. At the end of the day, it's a just thing to do, because it's something I would do with my friends, or it's something I would do with the person that I'm with. If you're chatting absolute fucking shit to my person and you're being insulting within the shit that you're chatting, yes, they may have the mouth to back them up like Sarah does, but sometimes they just want to take a step back and have you take the forefront. And that's what I will fucking do. I will bat for my own each and every time at the end of the day, unless they're in the wrong. If they're in the wrong, then that's when I'll take them to the side and quietly have a chat with them and say, you know you're in the wrong, don't you? And have that chat with them. But 9 times out of 10, I'm there, ready and waiting. I ain't gonna let people talk to certain people in the way that they do. No, I won't. We get to Tori and Jack. Jack is basically saying he will treat Tori with respect. He wants to make her laugh and make her feel safe. I'm just like, do you know what? You're just going to have to leave them to it. Like, seriously, leave them to it, because they are going to be how they're going to be at the end of the day as a couple. And me, for one, is getting tired of having to talk about these two idiots, to be fair. Lauren believes that she can't ask Tori about Jack, and this is what Lauren is saying directly to Tori's face. And Tori's basically saying, well, no, you can ask me anything if you need to, but it's kind of hard to ask certain things about their relationship when Tori completely shuts off, because she believes everything that says at face motherfucking value at the end of the day. So Laurie asks Tori about her thinking and seeing if she believes Jack will bolt, like, at the end of all of this when it comes to the final commitment ceremony. Does she believe that Jack will be there 100% with her, or do you think that she will run? Tori basically says that she is a good judge of character and that she has a limit, and she isn't there yet in regards to her limit. Yeah, I'm just gonna like skip past that, because you know, yeah. Everybody has their different limits, but you know, some more than others will take on a lot more. But hey ho. So again, Tori didn't want to hear it all. And I said, this is Tori's pattern of behaviour. She's going to hear you and then literally in her mind say, I'm processing. She's only processing up until the point she talks to Jack. Then when she talks to Jack, he's able to literally lead her down path A, basically, instead of path B. And she takes him at face value all the time. So these people are not going to win in getting Tori to see anything at all, like seriously at all. So it moves on to a few of us playing the get to know you game, which is a card game, and it is bringing out a lot of laughs. So Jaden's card, or someone picked out a card for Jaden and asked him what would be his biggest fear, and he said losing my parents. Now you could see that comment hit Tim completely, because at the end of the day, he's lost his whole motherfucking family. He is the only one left. So no matter where he goes, or if he did sadly pass away, this man has got nobody to carry on his lifeline. That's it. It ends and starts with Tim. That is it. So Lucinda wants him to open up, so she goes and checks in on him after the game, and they're both in their room. So Tim does kind of open up, and Lucinda starts to cry and says that he is so brave, and then it gets too much for Tim, and he actually gets up, walks to the end of it, and just literally just cries. And I'm like, this is what this man has been needing for a long time, it looks like, to literally let go of that excess emotion and that excess baggage, because there's only so much of emotion that you can stockpile in yourself before it starts to come out in other ways. But guaranteed, Tim needed this cry. He really did. So he basically says that he's in complete uncharted territory and that he feels lost, and he sees Lucinda as his rock. So then he goes back to the room, and literally she gets up, and then they just hug for the longest. And I'm like, is this it? Is this finally the breakthrough between these two? Like, seriously, I hope it is. Like, seriously, I do. So we get to boys and girls night. So the guys go out by themselves, the girls get to stay by themselves, and you still got Lauren and Sarah going on about Tori and the issue with Jack and the fact that they need to say these things. And I'm just like, do you know what? If you're going to say it. If not, stop talking about it at the end of the day. So Lucinda tells the girls, and Tim actually tells the lads in regards to what happened between them two and the game and the situation, and how that caused his emotions to come to the forefront. And he did let everybody know that he actually cried. And Lucinda was telling the girls that she was so much amazed by his move and the fact that he did cry, and he gave her this absolutely overwhelming hug and was there for her completely. And everybody was like in awe, because they were like, okay, things seem to be moving with these two. Tori looked like please don't ask me nothing. So they turned around and they did ask her about how things are going with her and Jack, and she says it's great and everything's great with her and Jack. She said that it's the conversations on the couch in terms of the situation that arose, that, you know, him believing she's more into her than he is into him, has led them to have a good, transparent conversation. And in the next breath, you see Jack literally talking to the lads, and they asked Jack if Tori was his physical type. Jack says after the longest pause that Tori is enough for him. I'm like, what does that mean, my guy? What does that mean? What does that mean? Because it was a yes or no answer. That was, is this girl your physical type or not? It was a yes or no answer. We already know she's not his physical type, because he ain't even having sex with her at this moment in time anyway, still. So, hey ho, the proof is in the pudding. So, you see, Sarah and Lauren basically pull Tori out of the group of the girls and say, look, we need to go and have a discussion with Tori. So take Tori over. So all the other girls are sitting and thinking, do you know what that's about? But nobody knows what it's about. And they all know that it's going to come to the forefront in a group at some pace or time. But Sarah and Lauren preferred to have that discussion by themselves with Tori, which is all well and good. I don't think they should have had any type of conversation with Tori, but hey ho, let them do what they're going to do, because, you know, they think they're being the best girlfriends that they can be to this girl. So Tim does ask Jack, are you in love with Tori? And he said, I am not in love with Tori, no. And this is what I mean again by Jack saying things outside of his marriage that is different to what he then says to Tori when he gets in front of her. So Lauren does ask Tori, when we go back to the girls, this is just before the episode ends, what is Tori's ultimate deal breaker? She didn't know. Like, she honestly didn't know what her ultimate deal breaker was. And this is why I'm thinking, this is why you allow this man to keep talking you around in the way that he does all the motherfucking time. Like, seriously, we can all see the bullshit that is Jack. but Tori cannot see what the bullshit that is Jack. But hey ho, that's where the episode ended. I'll be back very soon with the next episode. As I always ask, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so when you know I'm on and doing videos. And I'll be back very, very soon with the next one. Peace out.